We use economics every day. It doesn't matter who you are, but understanding economics can change your life and help with decision making. So what system of exchange we're going to use today? Are we going to use the primitive bartering system? No, unfortunately. Money is the system of exchange. So sir, how much can you got mangoes?
20, 25 and 50.
Okay. Based on my budget, I can afford only the $20 each.
Yeah, that's alright.
All right.
According to your likeness, you're welcome to choose.
I'm welcome to choose?
Yes.
So what is a market? A market is anywhere where buyers and sellers meet for voluntary exchange. So I value the mangoes and he values my money. Economics is based on the assumption of scarcity. People have unlimited wants, however, limited resources. So, one keyword jumped out. What was it? Unlimited wants. But you may be asking yourself, Giselle, what exactly is a want? How do I differentiate a want from a need? A need is something that we ought to have for survival. Our life depends on it. Can you think about any needs that human beings have? For example, food. We need food. Water. We need water. Shelter. And so on. Wants, however, those are desires that may not be essential for survival, but nevertheless, we want it. For example, right now, I want a vacation. I can see myself in Thailand, maybe riding an elephant in Bangkok. Or I can see myself on the gondola being serenaded in Venice. Welcome to the floating city, the city of canals, Venice, or according to the Italians, Venetia. Northeastern part of Italy, we are in Venice. What a better place to be. You cannot come to Venice and not experience a gondola. There are over 350 gondolas and over 400 bridges. We are in the exotic, the beautiful, the romantic Venice city.
Right now, things real hard. I don't know what to do right now because I don't know what to buy. I have to choose between what food, mortgage. I just can't do this by myself. I need some kind of help. Who could really help me right now? I don't know. Somebody. I need to get onto somebody because I don't know how to use the 2 pennies.
Michaela, I read the message. I know it is hard economic times.
It's hard, girl. It's really hard.
We all are feeling it.
Imagine.
But let us differentiate between your needs and your wants. What do you need? Tell me everything that you need to spend money on.
Right now, we need food.
Yes.
We need to pay our mortgage. We need gas in the car. We need a little family entertainment from time to time. Nothing lavish, but we need something. And at least, something to keep the kids happy. On here and there, a little present, birthdays coming up. Things like that. I would say I need right now.
All right. From the items you call out there for me, you tell me food, which is a necessity.
Okay.
You tell me mortgage, you have to pay that. You also told me that you said food, mortgage. You talk about the kids, one of your children's birthday coming up. All right, that's another one. You told me, what else you mentioned to me?
Entertainment, family entertainment.
Entertainment. All right. So Michaela, could we cut back? We can't cut on the food. We could cut because of how lavish we spend on the food and do some of the more basic in terms of what you need for the month, as opposed to cut down on the snacks, cut down on the junk food, right? How about if we cut in on the entertainment?
Okay.
And we could probably allocate that money towards something else that is a necessity. Because after reading your message, I realized that your wants exceed your income.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So let's cut back. So if you cut back on the entertainment, how much money you budget to spend on entertainment?
Well, right now we can't budget much, because the money can't spread across. So let's say for the month, I will at least put a measly $300.
All right.
Try to stretch that.
So we could remove that $300. So we have $300 more now, right? How about the birthday party?
Right.
Maybe we could just do something in-house as opposed to going to have that party, that lavish party to invite 150 persons.
Yes, that's a plan.
You can just do close friends and family and tell everybody walk with something.
That's a plan. That could work.
I could only do what I can afford to do. You can only do what you can afford to do. There are microeconomics and macroeconomics. So microeconomics, as the word suggests, micro, small, it deals with small scale. And macro deals on a larger scale. For example, micro might be you, the individual actor, or the agent, film. But when you think about macroeconomics, of course, you think about a nation, you think about immediately economy, government, inflation, government deciding whether to increase their spending during a recession. However, microeconomics, that's the individual. Then you hear economists flinging terms back and forth like positive and normative. Positive generally being what is, and normative what ought to be. So let's move on. I had $25, $30 budgeted to spend on mangoes, but what exactly was happening there? Like now, for example, you are watching this television program. What is happening here? We are engaging in economics. How so? You did not have to watch this program, did you? Of course not. There's so much things vying for your attention. I am grateful though that you chose Crash Class. However, the second viable option is what you call opportunity cost. It is your next best alternative. We are all engaging in some form of economics. For example, from the child, just maybe you carry your daughter or son to the toy store. Even children engage in economics. Why? We have unlimited wants, but limited resources. For example, we go to the toy store, and of course, children, they want everything. Mommy, I want this, I want that, I want the Barbie, I want the car, I want... But can they really get everything that they want? Unfortunately, no. Based on our budget, you could only get one toy. How many toys can you get?
One.
How many?
One toy.
Yes. So which one toy do you want?
I want an elephant toy.
Okay.
Only one toy.
And where is that?
Right over there.
Oh, very good. Let's have it. Unlimited resources. You're thinking gifts of nature, land. What else? You may be saying to me, Kizel, everything has a limit. That may be true. But how exactly is prices, or should I say, how exactly are prices governed? Who really determine prices? Is it you? Is it me? Is it the government? Who determines price? Good question. Let's go to the board. When we think about economics, immediately we think about distribution, consumption, production. But more than anything else, we think about the law of demand and the law of supply. Earlier today, remember, I bought mangoes. With limited resources, prices are determined by demand and supply. So the downward sloping curve, red, is the demand curve, and the upward sloping curve is the supply curve. Don't allow the graph to intimidate you. At $20, this is the price per bag. At $20, what happens? Look at the curve. Remember, this is the supply. At $20, they were only willing to supply this amount. Correct? However, at $20, the consumer was demanding that amount. Okay, at $40, supply that amount. But at $40, the consumer could afford that amount. What do you see happening on this graph? At $20, what is happening with demand? Demand is greater. What is happening with supply? Supply is less. So when prices are low, demand tends to be higher, but supply tends to be lower. At $40 here, this was the supply. So let's go up. At $80, what happens? Like, I need to demand a new marker. At $80, look at the demand curve. They are demanding less. But if I go across to the supply curve, of course, the suppliers will supply more. So the law of demand and supply, it is very simple. Remember, the consumer, you have the power. Now it's up to you to execute the power or not. Because when prices are high, of course, suppliers want to supply. But when prices are low, of course, suppliers, they don't want to supply, but consumers will want even more. Who has the power? You do. Price control. This is usually government imposed or group imposed. So I'm going to give you economics that apply for the layman. So often in a budget, you hear them talking about price control. You hear them tossing around words like price ceiling and price floor. But what does it actually mean? Remember, I told you we do not learn in isolation, but by association. So when you hear the word ceiling, immediately in your house, you think about height. Okay, you look up. Yes. So a price ceiling is the maximum that a supplier can actually charge. The government imposes this usually to protect the consumers. For example, the government may have a price ceiling for gasoline. And there's another word that may come in. In order to keep prices sometimes low, government may also implement a subsidy. So what is a subsidy? A subsidy is generally a grant paid by the government in order to keep prices low. Then we can go to the floor. So you're sitting and you look down and there is the floor. So floor will be down and ceiling will be up. So a floor is the minimum that one can charge. For example, the government may impose a price floor for minimum wage, and that is also there to protect you. The minimum wage will be the least amount of money that the employer can pay to the employee, and of course it's a protection, isn't it? Well, I suppose. Well, today is Friday, and obviously you're supposed to be real happy. But why are you frowning? What is wrong? Something is not right? Check the paycheck. Payroll, paycheck day, and you are not smiling. Alright, let me explain. I think I know what the problem is. Do you know the difference between your gross pay and your net pay? Now you negotiated with your employer and you negotiated for $7,000 per month. But this is not what you're seeing in your bank account. It's less than $7,000. How are you going to explain that to your wife? Gross pay and net pay. Gross pay is what the employer pays to the employee before any taxes and deductions. However, your take-home pay is your net pay. This is after the deductions. So your gross pay again is what your employer pays you before any deductions, any taxes, and your net pay is what you actually receive after your taxes and deductions. So the money in the bank, it's not wrong. That's just your net pay. Immediately by association, if I say Monopoly, what would you think about? More than likely a board game. And the board game is actually economics. How so? Because a player is trying to bankrupt the other players. Yes? Trying to buy out the hotels, buy out the houses, trying to monopolize on the game. And how does a monopoly apply to a country now? On a bigger scale, it is the only competitor. It is the only supplier. So basically, there's no competition on the market. That's a monopoly. Can you think about any monopolies that you may know about? For example, in Trinidad, we have TNTEC, Trinidad and Tobago Electricity Commission. And they are the only provider right now for electricity in Trinidad. There's no other competitor, there's no competition. They are the only provider, and that's a monopoly. I'm in the middle of nowhere. I hope that's the record. Wait. Tire pressure is a very important safety feature in your vehicle. But you may be wondering, how important really is the pressure of a tire? Let's see. For example, when your tire pressure is too low, what does that mean? It can cause a stiffening in your steering. That means that too much of the tire is touching the road. So it creates a friction between the tire and the road. It can be seen on the inside and on the outside of the vehicle. There's cutting both on the inside and on the outside when your tire pressure is too low. This can also cause tire treading, which can cause an accident. So you may be saying, conversely, just put the pressure hard. Too much pressure could burst a pipe. So if your tire pressure is too hard, what can happen? Yeah, you can get a bumpy ride. These days, cars are computers on wheels, and understanding the basics of a car is very important. I know what you may be saying. Well, I'm not a grease monkey or I'm not mechanically inclined, but you should know some basics of what's under that hood. Let's begin. There are some basic fluids that you must know. The engine oil being one of them. And it's very easy to check. So we just put in the dipstick and you will check your minimum and maximum level. And if it's saying minimum, well of course you know that you need oil. But please follow the manufacturer's specification on what brand oil to use. When driving a vehicle, it's important to use your senses. Your sense of sight, your hearing, what you smell, even sometimes what you feel. For example, when you start your vehicle, if you notice your light is a bit flickering or dimming, then it may be early signs of battery problems. Or you're trying to adjust your air conditioner and you realize that, hey, I'm not getting cold air. Then simple, your air conditioner probably needs servicing. Are you hearing a noise? What could that be? It could be faulty belts, it could be tensioners, it could be pulley. But again, pay attention to your senses. Read your manufacturer's specification and find yourself a recommended mechanic.